The Israeli army is telling people to leave Gaza City as it expands its offensive in the region. The military is calling on residents to move to an area described as a humanitarian zone in the Mawasi area of Gaza. Israel has said it will target more high-rise buildings in the city, which it says are being used by Hamas. One structure has been flattened, with a second also coming under attack. Health officials say at least 27 people have been killed in the last day. And let's go now to Gaza, to Deir al-Balah, where we find Dan Stewart from Save the Children Foundation. Dan, you're very close to the humanitarian zone Israel announced today. Tell us, how are things on the ground there? Is that designated area any different from the rest of Gaza?
Well, what we know is that nowhere is safe in Gaza. It's only a few days since 5 children were reportedly killed fetching water in an airstrike in one of the so-called humanitarian zones. So on the day that we learned that 20,000 children, that's an average of one every single hour of this war, have been killed since the war started, it has never been clearer that nowhere is safe in Gaza.
The UN estimates there are some 1 million Palestinians in and around Gaza City, many of whom have been displaced more than once. What have you been hearing in the last few days? What are they planning to do as the Israeli military closes in?
Well, one of our partners in northern Gaza was telling me that, passed on that they are supporting a child who's already been displaced 10 times. And the psychological punishment of being forced to do this again, to pack up what remaining things you may have and leave again in the face of more bombs and bullets, the psychological punishment of that is just unimaginable. And what we're seeing at the moment is, so far, rather than large numbers of people moving from north to south, the majority of people are concentrating in the smaller and smaller areas in the west of Gaza City, because they just can't bear another heartbreaking exodus in the searing heat, which will most likely end up in a patch of scorched earth somewhere, without even the basics to sustain life. The need to assemble some kind of makeshift shelter out of nylon or sheets of fabric or fragments of destroyed homes. You know, for families and children who are in Gaza City right now, the risks and the dangers of the bombs and the bullets are very real. There is a war in the streets. But for those agonizing over the decision to leave, it's like there's a war in their heads as well.
Dan, you have made it very, very clear that there are no more safe places in the territory. But there have been people who have been watching things unravel there now for weeks and for months, and they have a very hard time understanding in a palpable sense what people are going through there. Even in terms of relativity, are there places that are relatively more safe than other places? Just give people a sense of what it's actually like on the ground.
Well, where we are in Deir al-Balah, we hear explosions in the distance all the time. And the humanitarian zone has been attacked in recent days with airstrikes. So while there are areas that see more and less airstrikes on different days, the picture is one of constant fear and confusion and unpredictability. And children go to sleep all over Gaza each night with the sound of drones overhead, with explosions either nearby or in the distance, as a constant reminder of the war that is all around them. One boy told our teams in an activity that we run, where we ask children to think about what their safe space would be like to help them process their emotions. And he said that there will never, never be a safe space in Gaza again, even after the war is over. That is a sign of the irreparable damage that is being done to Gaza's children.
Our thanks to Dan Stewart from Save the Children. Many thanks again, Dan.